Yes,
Okay,
we were waiting for the
sure.
session.
Super. Nice. So, see, thank you everyone for joining in. And today's question is why typically questions like why should we hire you that's
Mm-hmm.
been asked by the interviewer. So over here, this is a
Yes.
very common question, number one, and one should be very well prepared before joining into before getting into the interview. The reason
Mm-hmm.
why the interview typically asks this question, one, this is a very common question. Two, it's a very basic question. And three, one
Mm-hmm.
should always prepare for this question before you joining. So maybe you can prepare in the form of mocks and have your
Mm-hmm.
script ready, but definitely don't sound as if you're reading the script. One should
Okay.
say it as if it should be a natural flow and should
Mm-hmm.
sound as if you're genuinely interested. The reason why typically the employees ask this question is one, to understand how you are unique in the skills that you're bringing on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, like I must have said this in n number of times in my previous lives and videos, one should do the SWOT analysis here. Because unless and
Mm-hmm.
until you don't do your SWOT, you wouldn't know what are your strengths, what are your challenges, right? So when
Mm-hmm.
the employer is asking you why I should hire Anusha, it's an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity for you as a candidate, Anusha, to highlight your unique skills, what you bring on the table
Mm.
that other
Okay.
candidate is not, because everybody is going to say the same thing, right? Why that you should hire me, but then why should I hire Anusha over Ashwini? So that is
Mm-hmm.
where you bring in your uniqueness in terms of your skills,
Mm-hmm.
your caliber, your personal traits, your personal interest. So what you should need to do, what one needs to do here is one is to marry the need of the company to
Mm-hmm.
your skills. So you marry them. How
Mm-hmm.
would you do that? One, by understanding the company's requirement. That's the job description. Whenever the job description is saying something X
Mm-hmm.
factor or a Y factor, one is to marry that to your unique skills. That is in congruence. So when somebody questions
Okay.
you, Anusha, why should I hire you? Then you can say, because I am skilled in X skill, which I understand the
Mm-hmm.
job description calling this out. So you
Mm-hmm.
need to complete research of the company in terms of its history, his expectations, and how you are valuing your skills and marrying that skills to the company's ask. That is the foremost
Okay.
thing. And where would you
Mm-hmm.
get this data? Basically, you'll get this data from your research. So before
Mm-hmm.
you get, even when you start your interview process, you will get this data from Glassdoor, which is the must-go site. I personally feel because that's the website you'll get all the information that one needs about the company. It's a raw data. Of course, it does not mean you believe the data, but that's a benchmark basically, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you have that benchmark in place and you collect that data to marry that data with your skills that you bring in. So every
Mm-hmm.
opportunity you get to sell is what I would recommend. So it becomes your elevator pitch. It's
Okay.
basically sales. You have to sell yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that is the reason why employers ask anybody is one to understand what are your unique skills and how are you going
Mm-hmm.
to value add us on the table. If you're
Mm-hmm.
not able to tell that, the company might not look at you as a candidate they would want to hire. Because if for
Mm-hmm.
one application you will have hundreds of applications coming in, Anusha. It's not only one
Okay.
candidate applying for the position, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's open for everybody. But then why should I
Mm-hmm.
hire Anusha? So one, you could
Mm-hmm.
call out your projects you've done during your internships, or if you have
Okay.
had any experiences before joining that X company or interviewing that
Mm-hmm.
company. So you can go in the STAR method. We spoke about the STAR method in our Thursday
Yes.
video. So the second part is going to launch next week. So you can use the
Mm-hmm.
STAR method wherein you talk about step by step the problem statement. Then you
Mm-hmm.
can give how you went step by step and what was the solution and the outcome came from that. That is what is
Okay.
going to be unique about you. So it's basically calling out your strengths in the conversation, and every question that they ask you, you should call out your strengths. It's an opportunity you have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying oversell yourself, but definitely call out your strengths so that they understand that this is what Anusha is good at. And
Okay.
at the same time, this is exactly what I want in a candidate. So when you
Mhm.
understand the job description, it's very important that you speak the same language what the employer wants to hear from your mouth. One
Okay.
should not talk what you feel good at. You should talk
Mhm.
basically what the employer wants to hear. That is what I
Mhm.
mean by marrying it. So here you will call out your strengths. How
Mhm.
are you going to help with your unique skills to grow them from where they are to where they want to be? Right? So
Mhm.
you expand that answer a bit. So you basically
Okay.
call out your strengths. At the
Mhm.
same time, you acknowledge that this is the challenge what I have. But when you call out as challenge, you also need to
Mhm.
call out in a way of countering it. How you want to
Okay.
counter that? Because
Mhm.
if you're not going to counter, that means you're giving up on the challenges, which no employer would want
Mhm.
it, right? So if because see we are we can't say we are flawless. We all
Mhm.
have a learning curve. But at the same time, when you say I have a learning curve, you also need
Mhm.
to say what is that learning curve all about? What is it you're
Okay.
doing about to fix those challenges? What we
Mhm.
might need to fix it as a team. If you're not if you're not confident, the employer will not be confident about you,
Okay.
right? So the idea behind
Mhm.
asking these questions is basically they want to know how are you going to fill the gap what we're experiencing and
Mhm.
how confidently you're saying this, and this can only happen by doing a lot of practice. So,
Okay.
like I've been hampering on this every conversation we have. One needs to do lot of mock interviews. When you do a lot of
Mhm.
mock interviews, you are able to overcome these kind of questions. The
Okay.
idea here of answering this question is in a way where you're calling out your strengths, and
Mhm.
those strengths need to value add to exactly what they want. That is their problem statement. So
Okay.
idea here is when they're asking this
Mhm.
question, basically they want to know how are you different from other candidates? One.
Mhm.
Second, how are you going to counter the challenges compared to other people?
Okay.
And third, what's your confidence? If
Mhm.
you don't have confidence in answering, they're not going to look at you're right or wrong. What they want to look at is your approach, how you're
Mhm.
doing while answering these questions. That's
Mhm.
exactly what employers do. And this is a very, very, very basic question. Most often
Mhm.
you will see people asking the same question in different format. Now, other formats could be, why are you a good fit for this job? Could be another
Mhm.
question. It could be,
Yes.
what makes you feel you're the best applicant? The third could be, why should I
Mhm.
hire you? So the same question is
Okay.
being asked in different formats. It is not necessarily they
Mhm.
will ask you every time. But even if they
Mhm.
ask you, you should take this as an opportunity for you to sell yourself and put your skills
Mhm.
in front of them. It should be indirect selling. It's an elevator pitch that you have, and you've been given that opportunity to sell that to the employer. And in my
Mhm.
experience, I've seen most people fail to do that. They don't know why I should join a company. If I ask Anusha, why do you think I should,
Mm.
why would you want to join a company? Most people will be like, because it's a brand. It's a standard answer I give. It's a brand.
Yes.
If it's a
Mhm.
brand, I don't need Anusha. I can hire
Mhm.
anybody, right? I don't need Anusha, but
Anybody.
why should I
Mhm.
hire Anusha? And why should I invest my 1 hour with you? In the conversation is what the employer
Mhm.
wants to know. And that is exactly
Okay.
what you will do. And you will only know this
Mhm.
to answer if you have read the job description correctly. What
Mhm.
is the ask of the employer? What are they
Mhm.
asking you? What is the JD talking about? Do you have that? Even if
Mhm.
you don't have it, how are you countering it? So
Okay.
there's nothing right or a wrong answer on this. It's
Mhm.
basically understanding your approach,
Mhm.
how you're going to fill the gap when you join them, how are you going to fill the gap by
Mhm.
helping them grow from where they are to where they want to be. That's
Okay.
exactly what the employer wants to know with full conviction. And conviction
Mhm.
only happens if you are confident. If you are
Okay.
not confident, how do you expect the employer to be confident on you?
Mm-hmm.
It is as simple as that, right?
Okay.
So I'm sure
Yes.
audience is able to relate to this. You can be free to let us know if you've encountered such kind of a situation where the employers asked you this question and you have hassled or you weren't sure what to answer. We would be happy to know that.
Nowadays we have more of writing. We have to send writing. Why should we hire you? Like, you apply it anywhere, they'll you have to type it in. Like, why should we hire you? So should that be the same as what we are going to say if it is face to face?
Yes. So even if you write the script, don't sound as you're reading
Mm-hmm.
the script. It has to be natural. In the
Mm-hmm.
sense, because I have to sound very genuine, Anusha. If I sound very
Mm-hmm.
fake, you will not believe me also, right? It's a human tendency.
True. Yeah.
If I'm not being, the most important interview process is just be you. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
change your identity to get a job. Just be you natural.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to give a fake accent. You don't have to use a
Mm-hmm.
very hi-fi English for all of that. Just speak your
Mm-hmm.
heart out. At the same time, show the genuineness and your honesty and your natural about the entire process. That is what the employers
Okay.
are looking for. At the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, they want to marry your genuineness with their culture. They
Mm-hmm.
don't want one rotten apple, to spoil the culture. You must
Mm-hmm.
have heard the saying, right? One rotten apple spoils the entire
Spoils.
basket,
Yes.
right? So you don't want, no employer wants that. So they're very
Mm-hmm.
particular about how you're answering, what is the approach.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, in an interview, it is never about right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has their own, everybody wears their own lens. What is
Mm-hmm.
right for you could be wrong for me. What is right for me could be wrong for you. The
Mm-hmm.
important here is what is your approach. That's it. They're not
Okay.
going to judge you and hire you because Anusha could have given a different answer. No, for Anusha,
Mm-hmm.
that is the best answer. But what are the steps that you have taken to reach that approach is what the employer is going to look at. Because
Mm-hmm.
all of us are going to
Okay.
think very differently on one question.
Mm-hmm.
I might look at straight, you might look at left, right, and then straight. Does that mean it
Mm-hmm.
is wrong? No, it is not wrong. It is your
Okay.
perspective, it is your
Mm-hmm.
understanding, that is your approach. There is nothing right, there's nothing wrong. But the way the employer, because I remember when I was on the other side of the table, when I was interviewing people, I used
Mm-hmm.
to only look at the approach of the candidate, how genuine he is, how honest he is, how keen he is, what the research he has
Mm-hmm.
done of the company, what does he understand from the job description? What are his unique skills? How is he bringing it on the table? And how,
Mm-hmm.
according to him, he feels it will be beneficial to us,
Okay.
right? So that is what we're looking at during the conversation. Because in 2 hour
Mm-hmm.
conversation, how much can you judge a person also?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's a very open floor, but
Mm-hmm.
idea here is one needs to be very honest with his answers. If you can't do something, say yes, I'm sorry. I don't think I know this, but I'm happy to learn
Mm-hmm.
this and come back. That's exactly what
Okay.
the employer is looking out. The moment you
Mm-hmm.
try to lie something and cover up, the
Mm-hmm.
employer will understand and he will catch you, and that's where the ragging happens. In
Okay.
interviews also ragging happens because it
Mm-hmm.
can cite the interviewer because you're not the only one he's talking to.
Mm-hmm.
You must be the 100th candidate for him, but for you
Mm-hmm.
he's the first employer, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole day goes interviewing the candidate, so it's very important that you go well prepared, fully groomed,
Mm-hmm.
fully the following the etiquette of the interview, fully appropriately dressed, appropriately using the language, the
Mm-hmm.
communication mode, and that's exactly what the employer is looking for. That's it. It's very
Okay.
simple. And even if you
Mm-hmm.
don't know something, just say it. I'm sorry. It's a good question. It's a great question, but I don't think I'm quite confident on the answer. But I'm happy to do a research and come back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the employer likes it because here the trait comes out that Ashwini is acknowledging that she doesn't know something and she's
Mm-hmm.
happy to accept, learn back,
Mm-hmm.
and come and then take it forward. Because
Okay.
we're not going to know everything what we're not going to know everything in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are going to fall flat on something. And that is where
Mm-hmm.
the learning happens. That's where the growth happens. That's exactly what the employer is looking for. Who in the world is perfect? Tell me, Anusha, nobody.
Nobody. Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody is perfect here. And we shouldn't be perfect. So, personally, if
Mm-hmm.
you ask me, I don't think anyone should be perfect also. It's because if you're perfect, then learning stops. And we don't want the learning to stop. And that's
Okay.
exactly what the employer is looking for. So just be
Mm-hmm.
honest, just be genuine, just be you. Most important, just be
Mm-hmm.
you. You don't know, fair enough. Just acknowledge and say, yes, I don't know, but I'm happy to go back and learn and come back and help you with the information. That's it. It's very
Mm-hmm.
simple. That's how the employer
Okay.
is looking at the entire conversation. I hope
Mm.
you finding this useful, all of you joining
Yes.
here.
How does a fresher answer that question? Do we mention that we are fresher or something? Why should we hire you?
See,
How does a
when the
fresher
employee
answer it?
sees the resume, right, he understands
Mm-hmm.
what you bring on the table. He anyways knows that you are a
Mm-hmm.
fresher, you've just kicked off in the industry. But
Mm-hmm.
importantly is to know and show that you're very enthusiastic, you're very interested and keen to learn, you're
Mm-hmm.
open to explore, you're
Mm-hmm.
not confined, in a one way, you're open to keep your
Okay.
thoughts open because that is
Mm-hmm.
what the employer is looking for. But when you're starting a job, you cannot have too many rules and regulations
Mm-hmm.
because unless you don't taste the water, you wouldn't know how the water is tasting, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you want to swim, you have to jump in the water. Without jumping, how
Mm-hmm.
would you? Right? So employers exactly looking for those flexibility. So flexibility is what the employer is looking for. If you're not flexible,
Mm-hmm.
if you're rigid, "Oh, I want to do only this," then the employer gets very unsure that should I really hire Anusha
Mm-hmm.
because she's a strong-headed person because nobody wants
Mm-hmm.
to have a bad Anusha.
Okay.
Because when you're hiring a fixed employee, see, when you're hiring a
Mm-hmm.
contractor and employee, it's a very different ball game.
Mm-hmm.
When they're hiring as an employee, the entire responsibility comes from you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Their salary, their leaves, their happiness, their growth, their
Mm-hmm.
career graph. It's your responsibility. So one
Okay.
needs to manage it. But if you're very
Mm-hmm.
rigid, the employer will be like, I don't want to have a baggage. Working in
Mm-hmm.
a corporate is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
Besides doing a job what you were hired for, there are many other whims and fancies going around. Politics are there.
Mm-hmm.
You have to keep everybody happy. You have to do a
Mm-hmm.
deliverables. You need to do over and above. For example, remember in one of my company, in one of the I bank I was working, my
Mm-hmm.
manager clearly said she was an executive director and I was reporting to her. She said, Ashwini, this is a bread, what you're doing. If you
Mm-hmm.
want a promotion, you need to look for a jam,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that means what I'm doing regularly, that's what I'm being hired for. But if I want to
Mm-hmm.
be recognized for something more, that's a jam on the bread. That is
Mm-hmm.
something that means you take up more responsibilities over and above your job. Need
Mm-hmm.
not be necessarily marrying your skills. It
Mm-hmm.
could be outside your comfort zone. It could be possibly a new skill that you need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And that initiative you have to take.
Okay.
And if you're not ready for that, the
Mm-hmm.
corporate will be like you're responsible for your career. They're quite capable of saying
Mm-hmm.
that. And that is exactly
Mm-hmm.
how corporates work. The days are
Mm-hmm.
gone where you work, your hard work is being seen, the employee gives you the promotion. No, the days have gone now. It's
Mm-hmm.
not anymore happening. The
Mm-hmm.
employer wants to see beyond what you're doing. What you're doing, you're
Okay.
anyways getting paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever salary, you wanted it. But if you
Mm-hmm.
want more salary, more promotion, expansion in a role, then you
Mm-hmm.
look for a jam. Jam is basically
Okay.
do something outside your comfort zone. Are you ready for
Mm-hmm.
it? Are you
Okay.
ready? The question is that. If you're not ready, then you
Mm-hmm.
continue doing what you're doing. Then don't
Mm-hmm.
complain. Then
Okay.
you don't have to compare, why Anusha is getting so many things versus I'm not getting anything.
Mm-hmm.
The employer is going to be very clear. The opportunity is open for everybody, but you are the one
Mm-hmm.
who is not taking it.
Mm-hmm.
So there has been a change the way the corporates are working today.
Okay.
When I was working sometime in 2000s, that it was
Mm-hmm.
only about the work. They see the work and they promote. But
Mm-hmm.
now it's not only about the work, it's
Mm-hmm.
beyond work.
Mm-hmm.
One, how are you collaborating with other functions? What are
Mm-hmm.
the initiatives you're taking? What are the add-on projects you're taking on
Mm-hmm.
yourself? Which not necessarily be your key skills. It could be something different. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What are the value addition you're doing in the meetings? Are you being a very quiet person, or are you even value adding some pointers there?
Mm-hmm.
What's your behavior in the company? Are you very a
Okay.
quiet person, or you're very secluded, or you're very
Mm-hmm.
social? Everybody is watching every movement of you,
Mm-hmm.
and that adds on to your growth. So I'm
Okay.
seeing that companies, the way they're looking is changing. So
Mm-hmm.
that is a very reason one is to be very alert about the
Mm-hmm.
environment. Okay.
If you have any questions, do type it in. We'll be happy to answer them for you. And do follow us on all our socials. The floor is open for questions or any discussion that you want to do or any suggestions you want to give for future topics. We would be happy to take them.
Do visit our podcast on Gatha. They're amazing. Some
Yes.
videos which will, audios which will help you with specific answers and etiquettes, how you should plan your journey in the corporate world.
Thank you, Anupama. I'm sure Ashwini ma'am. Anupama ma'am says very important tips. Thank you for them.
Thank you.
So I hope everyone is doing well. Do
Any
follow
questions
us.
anyone
Do download
has?
Gatha. Hmm. Okay, if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them. If you have any questions related to interview questions, why do they ask certain questions? You can type them in. You can watch our previous videos also on YouTube on confidence, on personal branding. If you have any interview related queries, do watch our previous videos. We have tried to answer all your problems. We have tried to give solution to all your problems.
The only thing I would want to end this conversation by saying that every question is an opportunity for you to portray your skills. So
Mm-hmm.
the more you practice, the more you understand what your skills are, you are in a
Mm-hmm.
better position to sell yourself. And
Okay.
for that, I'll keep harping on the SWOT analysis. Please do your
Mm-hmm.
SWOT analysis so you exactly know what are your strengths and what are your challenges and how you can leverage them.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult for you to even understand how you can counter it. Because the employer is going to definitely
Mm-hmm.
ask you, this is your weakness, so how do you think you're going to answer this? So please do a SWOT
Mm-hmm.
and practice a lot with your friends and family.
Do listen to our podcast on Ghana. Download the app, and Interview Cracker is available now on podcast, so you can listen to us on the go. Even while you're going to the interview, you can listen to us before you
Yes.
attend it. Thank you, guys. Stay safe. Get vaccinated.